George North, stay away from my try record in the Six Nations. It's mine. Leave it.
Looking forward to the World Cup, Ireland's number 10 coming to the tail end of his career and the trophy that has eluded Ireland. What are your thoughts on Johnny Sexton's performance in the Six Nations?
Yeah, I think Johnny Sexton is a remarkable individual and athlete. The question marks that were put to him or said about him around his performance in 2019, that he was a spent force, and how he's elevated his game since then to get himself ready for this up-and-coming World Cup is nothing short of exceptional. He's a player for the ages, and it would be an incredibly fitting ending to a glittering career where he's pretty much won everything capable of winning other than holding a World Cup. Obviously Ireland are going to have to do something that they've never done before, and that's even winning a knockout match in a World Cup, which has laid heavily on our shoulders for a long time. So hopefully this team is capable of delivering something more. They've got the foundations in place to do that, but they're still going to have to do it the hard way, but it'll be worthwhile. I think there's an incredible cohesiveness to this Irish squad. They've talked at length about, the togetherness, the enjoyment that they have being in camp, and I think that's coming across in their performances. I think it seems like a very caring environment, and you're not talking from a position of knowledge or know-how, but a lot of successes that people talk about in winning World Cups is about getting those 1% and 2%ers right, and sometimes it's about making sure family are happy at home when you're in camp, and that any issues that arise when you are away from home, that they're met head on. And I think the emotional support that players are getting now is really impacting their performances in a positive regard. And I think it takes time to create an environment like that, but it certainly is one that has been fostered and worked on and is reaping rewards.
You have to beat every team to win a World Cup, but if they manage to do it, where does it place them in Six Nations history teams?
I think if Ireland managed to get to a World Cup final, having to go the route that they will need to go to achieve it, getting to a final is no good. Getting to a semi-final is no good. I think this team has been all out about winning it, and you've got to run the risk of having egg on your face, if it doesn't work out, of setting your standards high, about being able to achieve and believe in yourself. And they have it in them. They do. They're going to have to need a big slice of luck and a good bit of fortune, that players stay fit, and that the bounce of the ball goes their way. Of course, they're all components of winning a successful World Cup. They are going to have to go and win 5 really, really difficult games on the bounce. But if they can do that, it will be some party back in Ireland.
You captained Ireland from 2003 to 2012, scoring 46 tries. What is your proudest accomplishment in your career?
I think sportsmen and women always pride themselves and judge their careers largely on their success and what they've managed to win. And for me, it took a long time to get going in that regard. Lots of false starts, but thankfully, in the latter part of my career, I had some success in winning Grand Slams. Winning European Cups was all important to be able to look back with a great level of satisfaction at a job done half decently. There's always missed opportunities, always things that you wish you could go back and change, but for the most part, to be able to turn it around from a pretty barren first 7 or 8 years to an exciting and more trophy-laden remaining 7 years was all important.
And thinking about the Six Nations try-scoring record, which you still hold, who or what do you think it would take to break that record?
George North, stay away from my try record in the Six Nations. It's mine. Leave it.
The Grand Slam celebrations, there's been a lot of content on social media channels of busloads of people turning up at Gary Ringrose' house. What have you made of that? Does that make you reflect on your celebrations of winning a Grand Slam?
There's been great excitement in Ireland after the Grand Slam celebrations, no more so than from the team themselves. From their perspective, the second and third day is always the best when you're together as a team, and we saw a bus arriving at Gary Ringrose's parents' house and capturing him, and actually capturing his dad as well and bringing him on the bus. They're the sort of memories that you remember as teammates, and they're the great times. Of course, you remember the on-field stuff, but it's actually the celebrations afterwards. And in Ireland, we've only won 4 Grand Slams. As much as there might be a focus and look forward to the World Cup, this is about also enjoying the success that the team is having currently.
Thinking about Paris, what are your memories of the city of Paris, competing in or enjoying sport in?
I'm lucky to have some really great memories competing in Paris, forged with some pretty disastrous memories as well, to be honest with you. My first outing there in 2000, I managed to score a hat-trick against France and beat the French team for the first time in nearly 30 years. So it started out well and it ended well by winning the Six Nations in 2014 in Paris too, but there was a lot of speed bumps in between. Missed opportunities in the World Cup in 2007, been on the receiving end of some pretty heavy defeats over the course of my Six Nations career, but ultimately great memories of a great capital city that loves its sport.
Obviously Ireland have just won the Grand Slam. 2022 was a French Grand Slam. Can we just talk about that French performance in 2022?
How good France were in that calendar year, winning the Grand Slam and doing it in style, and then some of the incredible performances, individual performances, no more so than Antoine Dupont, who's just his standards just seem to grow year on year, and he's still plenty of miles ahead of him. So when you have a caliber of individual leading a team like France the way he does, there's no limitations on what they can achieve.
Looking at Dupont in particular, what are your thoughts about him as a player? Is he bringing a new dimension to the sport of rugby? Can he take it to a completely new level?
The beauty of Antoine Dupont at the moment is that it's hard to know where his ceiling is. Just when we've finished waxing lyrically about how great he's been, he brings his game to another level. He elevates his performances, and at times, it's not even when his own team, be it club or country, are really in top gear, but it feels like he sets such a high bar of his own personal performances that the tide rises with them. He brings and elevates everyone else's performance with his own, and I think that is the inspiration that every team is looking for in any leader.
What does that role as an Academy member mean to you?
The role of being an Academy member is obviously a big privilege, to have been asked to be part of a pretty prestigious group of ex-athletes and professional sportsmen and women, to then try and use our platforms to do some good in those that are probably a little bit more disadvantaged, to be able to use our experiences to add to the experiences of people that are going through hardship or in kind of trickier situations, and also promoting the best of sport.
How have you seen the power of sport impacting young lives?
The power of sport is no doubt an incredibly important tool in helping pave the way for people in less advantageous situations. I was fortunately involved in a couple of programs up north in Belfast, again very underprivileged areas, but seeing the likes of boxing clubs being developed to allow children to channel emotions and anger in a positive regard. Also in juvenile detention centre in South Africa, seeing what rugby is capable of doing for them in in harnessing some of their frustrations and allowing them to feel part of a team unit and understand some of the values associated with rugby is so important to their future development.